Interviewing session with Mr. Hasnan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello everyone. So welcome to our discussion today. We are going to talk about something that is very close to our hearts, like education. Specifically, we will explore how education in Malaysia connects with the national education philosophy or Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, which is FPK, and the teacher education philosophy or Falsafah Pendidikan Guru, FPG.
That's right. Education is not just about going to school or sitting for exams. It's about shaping who we are as individuals and as a society. So in Malaysia, our education system has a strong foundation because it is guided by clear philosophies. These philosophies act as a compass to show us the direction we are heading towards.
Alright, so to make our session more insightful, we are very fortunate to have with us today Mr. Hasnan, who is a student teacher. Thank you for joining us. Could you please start by introducing yourself to our audience?
Alright, thank you for having me here today. My name is Muhammad Farah Hasnan bin Muhammad Amin, and I am a student at IPG KKP, and I've been deeply interested in education because it is something that affects every part of our life. I believe education is not just about in textbook or classroom. It's about nurturing human beings to become or live meaningful and contribute to the world. And that's why the philosophical of like FPK and FPG are so important. They remind us of bigger purpose of education.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Hasnan. So let's start with the big picture. Education in Malaysia has gone through many changes. So could you explain how education has developed from the past to what we have today?
Oh, absolutely. I can explain it detailedly. So if we look back at the pre-independence era, education in Malaysia was fragmented. There were Malay vernacular schools which teach on basic literacy, and Chinese and Tamil vernacular schools which teach their mother tongue, and English schools that were mostly attended by elites or urban children. And each system had different kind of goals and language of introduction. And this caused a lack of unity. When we became independent in the 1957, right, and our leaders realized that education needed to become the glue to bind people together. So that's why the Razak reports of 1956 was introduced. This report aimed to create a common national identity through education. And Malay was made the national language, and a common curriculum was planned to unite children of different races. Later, we had the Rahman Talib report in 1960, which consists of make more reforms focusing on secondary education, technical education, and the importance of moral and physical development. Then came the Education Act of 1961, which solidified the national education system. In 1966, we had the Education Act of 1996, we had the Education Act of 1996. It was passed modernizing the systems to include private education, international schools, and higher education institutions. That's why it is important because it acts as a Malaysia was opening to globalization. And in the 21st century, the Malaysian education blueprint of in 2013 until 2025 has been guiding us. It focuses on 11 shifts, which is ensuring quality teachers, improving students' outcomes, promoting technology in education, and preparing students for global competition.
That's a very long journey.
Yeah.
So, what is the main difference between the early system and the current one?
Oh, the early system mainly focused about literacy and basic knowledge. The current system is much broader. It wants to produce well-rounded Malaysians who can think critically, communicate globally, and still hold to the national value. For example, in the past, exams were centered on education. Parents wanted their children to pass exams colorfully, with flying colors, and that meant success. If they do not get any better result, that doesn't have what they wanted to. But today, school also measure leadership, creativity, and social contributions. Students are given opportunities to join robotics competition, participate in innovation projects, also perform art and drama, or serve to the community. This shows that the purpose of education in today's world has expanded, making it just not for passing exams to preparing students for real life.
I do agree with that. So, Mr. Hasnan,
Yeah.
can you give an example of how this shift looks like in a real classroom?
Oh, yeah, of course. We can take the instance of group project. In the past, classroom were mainly teacher-centered, but the teacher lectured and the student listened. But nowadays, many uses the student-centered method, where the students might work in groups, making to solve real-world problems like designing a recycling campaign or for the school. In doing so, daily teamwork, communication, creativity, and responsibility. This is exactly how education development has shifted.
Alright, so moving on to national education philosophy. So that brings us to the national education philosophy or FPK. And how does this philosophy guide all these developments?
Oh, the FPK is the heart of education of Malaysian education. It says that education is a continuous effort to develop individuals in a complete and integrated way. The aim is to create balanced people, which consists of intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical, and last but not least, social. All of this must be rooted in faith in God. Let me break this down. So, intellectual development. This is about knowledge, critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. And after that, we have the spiritual development. This relates to values, faith in God, ethics. It means education must nurture morality and also intelligence. It's not just intelligence. And next, we have emotional development, where students must learn to manage their feelings, develop empathy, and also build resilience or any challenges that comes in front of them. And also physical development, which consists of a healthy body that supports a healthy mind. So, for example, we have sports, health education, and physical activities are important to nurture students' capability. And last but not least, we have social development where students must learn to live in harmony with the others, respect the community, diversity, and contribute to the society.
So basically, Mr. Hassan, a truly educated Malaysian is someone who is balanced all these areas.
Yes, actually. A person who is very clever but unethical is not considered as uneducated by FPK. So likewise, someone who was very healthy and strong but without knowledge also does not represent the full potential of education.
So, how does this philosophy look in practice in schools?
Let's imagine the students day. In the morning, they study mathematics and science and building intellectual growth, and also later she has medical Islam or moral studies, right? And which nurtures spirituality and also values. Then she has physical education, which nurtures their strength to strengthen her body. And after school, she joins a debate club which builds confidence and critical thinking, or perhaps she participates in gotong royong, building teamwork and social awareness. All these experience actually together show how the philosophy is lived daily, not just in books but in real activities.
I see. So that means FPK makes education more human, not just academic.
Exactly. Education is about is not about creating robots who can only memorize, right? Not one student to be memorized. It's about producing human beings who can think and also feel, believe, and contribute to the nation.
Alright, I see your point. So, now let's talk about the teacher education philosophy or FPG. What is its role?
Oh, the FPG is like the twin of FPK. If FPK describes the students we want to produce, FPG describes the teacher who can produce the student. So the philosophy says teachers must be the one who is competent in knowledge and skills and professional in their practices, reflective in their teaching, always improving themselves, and also ethical and morally upright. Teachers are not just the one who instructs, they are role models. So students often learn more from how teachers behave and then from what they say. So a teacher who shows patience and kindness, fairness, and responsibility teaches value that will stay with students forever.
So basically, FPG reminds teachers that they carry a very big responsibility.
Yes, teaching is more than a career. It is an amana, a trust for us. So teachers are nation builders. If teachers are weak, right, if the base, the root are weak, society becomes weak. That's why teacher training in Malaysia is holistic. It includes pedagogy, community service, self-reflection, and character building. For example, training teacher in IPG, Institute and Guru, are not only taught how to teach mathematics or English, right? We were taught how to manage classrooms, how to understand psychology, participate in community projects, and live by professional ethics.
Okay, so do you personally apply FPG in your practice?
Yes, of course, I apply it in my daily practice. For instance, when I face a student who struggles, I remind myself that my role is not just to deliver lessons, but but I need to support and encourage. Instead of saying you failed, but I ask, how can I help you today? How can I help you to become successful? And this small change reflects the FPG focus on the core passions and also professionalism.
Alright, it all sounds ideal. But in real life, are there challenges in making FPK and FPG a reality?
Okay. Yes, actually there are. Uh, One big challenge in the exam-oriented culture. Many parents and schools still put above everything else. This makes it hard to focus on holistic development. They only focus on exam. So, other than that, there's another challenge, which is inequality. Urban schools may have smart access, smart classroom, while rural schools may struggle with internet or enough teachers, right? And when resources are unequal, it's harder to practice FPK, of course, right? And there's also the issue of teacher burnout. Um, this happens because teachers face pressure from syllabus demands, efforts, and also expectations. Balancing all this while living up to FPG can be really, really hard.
So teachers need to be very creative and resilient.
Yes, a rural teacher, for example, right, may not have projectors, may not have internet, but can still use local resources. Like, for example, using lips to teach fractions or community problems as real life. So this creativity is part of what makes Malaysians teachers are unique.
That's really incredible way of teaching. So, how about we talk about students? So, how do they actually experience these philosophies?
Oh, students experience FPK every day actually without realizing. For example, we take from when they join co-curricular activities, they build leadership and also discipline. When they participate in cultural events like Hari Kebangsaan celebrations, they build unity and patriotism. When they engage in group projects, they learn collaboration and respect. But also students often remember not just the subjects, but how the teachers treated them, right? And a caring teacher who listens and motivates can change a student's life. That's FPG in action. And it's backed by student directly.
Okay, a very good idea from you. So, looking to the future, and what do you think Malaysian education will look like?
For me, I think the future will be shaped by technology like AI, globalization, and also new industries. And students will need digital skills, which is will involve creativity, problem solving, and also adaptability. But at the same time, Values like respect, unity, and morality must not be lost. That's why FPK and FPG are timeless. So they remind us to keep balance, and even if AI and robotics dominate the future, we still, as humans, are at risk to be fully or be learn to have ethics, empathy, and also faith.
Alright. So to sum up, how do education development, FPK and FPG connect with each other?
So, of course, to answer these questions, there are three parts of one story. Education development shows the journey, how policies, facilities, and methods have changed. FPK shows the goal and the balanced students we want. FPG shows the method, the teacher who makes it happen. And in simple terms, development is the road. FPK is the destination, and FPG is the driver.
Alright, so this has been a very deep, meaningful conversation. We have learned that education in Malaysia is not just about exams, but also about balance, values, and also contribution.
Yes. And we see how FPK guides students while FPG guides teachers. So together, they create a system that builds not just knowledge, but character and also identity.
That's right. If we continue to hold on to these philosophies while adapting to change, we can build a future generation that is smart, ethical, united, and ready for the changes of tomorrow.
Alright, so thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today.
And thank you to our viewers. We hope this discussion inspires you to appreciate the deeper meaning of education in Malaysia. Assalamualaikum and goodbye. Thank you, Hassan.
Thanks for having me today.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone that watching this video. Thank you for being here with us today. Okay, so we are going to take a deep journey into something that touches the lives of every Malaysian, our education system. Now, when we talk about education, many people think immediately about going to school, attending classes, studying for exams, and getting certificates. But if we pause for a moment and look deeper, education is much more than that. Education in Malaysia is a continuous effort, one that does not stop at the classroom door. It is about helping each individual grow in every aspect of life, from the knowledge in the mind to the strength of the body, the balance of emotion, and the depth of spirituality and the responsibility towards society. Alright, so next, this is why Malaysia treats education as the backbone of national progress. A nation cannot rise without educated people, but at the same time, education is not only about producing workers or professionals. It is also about shaping human beings. Human beings who are intelligent, yes, but also moral, responsible, healthy, caring, patriotic, and capable of contributing meaningfully to society and the world. To make sure that our education system always move in the right direction, Malaysia has developed guiding philosophies. These philosophies are like a compass. They ensure that as we move forward with new policies, new technology, and new challenges, we do not lose sight of ultimate goal, developing a balanced, holistic, and meaningful human being. In this video, we will take a close look at three main things. For the first one, we will explore the development of education in Malaysia. We will go back to the early years of independence and see how our education system has changed and grown over decades, adapting to the needs of our people. Second, we will examine the national education philosophy of Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan. This is the soul of the Malaysian education, the statement that has reminds us what education is really about. Third, we will study the future education philosophy of Falsafah Pendidikan Guru. If the FPK is the guiding star for students, then the FPG is the guiding star for the teachers, the very people who brings education to life every single day in classroom across Malaysia. Finally, we will connect to the dots. We will see how the development of education, the FPK and the FPG are not separate ideas, but rather parts of the same strong of foundation. Together, they form the structure, the vision, and the method of Malaysia's education system. So, let us begin the journey into the heart of Malaysian education.
Alright. Thank you, Shahid. So, to understand the present, we must begin with the past. So, the development of education in Malaysia is not something that happened overnight. So, it is the result of many stages, many reforms, and many efforts to respond to the needs of our diverse society. So, before independence, education in Malaya was divided along ethnic lines. So, there were Malay vernacular schools which provided basic literacy and focused on preparing students for life in rural areas. So there were Chinese vernacular schools which emphasized Chinese language and culture, often linked to the community's heritage. And there were also Tamil schools set up for children of Indian laborers, which were often attended Indian laborers, focusing mainly on Tamil literacy. And then there were English medium schools, which were often attended by the urban elites and provided access to higher education and better jobs. So while each of these schools served in its community, the separation created challenges. So children grew up learning in different languages with different curricula, and this made it harder to build a united national identity. So after our independence in 1957, our leaders realized something very important. So if Malaysia was to be a strong, peaceful nation, education had to be the glue that brought all races together. And so, the first big step was the Razak Report of 1956. So this was more than just a report. It was a vision. It aimed to create a national education system where children of all races could come together under a common curriculum. So, Bahasa Melayu was made the national language of instruction. But space was still given for other languages to be preserved. The aim was clear: education should be unite nations, not divide them. But soon after, the Rahman Talib report of 1960 was introduced. So this report added more focus on character. It emphasized moral education, discipline, and physical development. So the government saw that education should not only produce clever minds, but also disciplined and responsible citizens. So through the following decades, education continued to develop, which is the Education Act of 1961 and later the Education Act of 1996. So it provided a strong legal framework for the structure of schools, the rights of students, and the responsibilities of the government. So these acts gave shape to primary, secondary, and also higher education, and make sure that every child in Malaysia had the right to learn. So as the world changed with globalization, Malaysia also needed to adapt. So this is why in the 21st century, the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 until 2035, which is Plan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, was introduced. So this was the most ambitious reform yet. It set out 11 shifts that would transform our education system. So some of these shifts included, which is the first one, is improving the quality of teachers, recognizing that no education system can rise above the quality of its educators. So the next one is using technology and digital tools in classroom to prepare students for the information age. And the next one is building students 21st century skills such as communication, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. And the last one is making sure that every student, regardless of background, has access to quality education. So, today, when we look at schools across Malaysia, we see the results of this development. Education is no longer just about 3 hours, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It now includes digital literacy, emotional intelligence, global awareness, leadership, and also community engagement. So, students are not only encouraged to excel in exams, but also to participate in sports, co-curricular activities, culture programs, community service, and innovation projects. So a student might spend the morning learning mathematics and science, the afternoon in sport practice, and the evening preparing for a debate competition or a robotic project. So all of this show how education in Malaysia has grown from being exam focused to being holistic, which is covered all of this. So, but what guides all of these changes? What keeps education aligned with a deeper purpose? So the answer lies in our national education philosophy.
Alright, so we will moving on to National Education Philosophy, which is FPK. So, the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan is often described as the soul of Malaysian education. It is the guiding statement that explains why we educate, not just how. The FPK states that education is a continuous effort to develop individuals in a holistic and integrated way, covering the intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical aspects of human life, all based on belief in obedience to God. This may sound like a simple statement, but it also carries a variety. It also carries a very deep meaning. So let's just break it down. So for the first one, which is intellectual development, education must develop in mind so that students must be able to think critically, solve problems, analyze, and also to create. For the second one, which is spiritual development, students must grow in morality, values, and faith. They must learn what is right and what is wrong, and live meaningful lives guided by ethics. And for the third one, emotional development, students must be able to manage emotions, develop empathy, resilience, and emotional intelligence. For the fourth one, which is physical development, a healthy body can support a healthy mind. Sports, physical education, and health awareness are all part of this group. And for the last one, which is social development, education must prepare students to live in harmony with others, respect diversity, and contribute to the well-being of society. So, what makes the FPK special is emphasis on balance. It does not want Malaysians who are only book smart but morally weak. It does not want people who are strong in body but empty in values. So, it wants us to be complete, balanced human beings. In practice, this is seen every day in schools. For example, schools hold sport days not just for competition, but to build teamwork and also discipline. So, students can join uniform bodies like Scouts, Cadet Remaja Sekolah, or Wake Crescent to build leadership and service values. For the third one, moral and Islamic studies that teach values like honesty, respect, and responsibility. Even academic subjects like science encourage students' curiosity, critical thinking, and integrity in experiments. Through all these activities, the FPK is not just words on paper. It also becomes a lived reality that ensures that Malaysia's education does not produce exam machines but whole human beings.
Alright. So if the FPK is the compass for students, then the falsafah pendidikan guru or FPG is the compass for teachers. So teachers are the backbone of the education system. No matter how good the curriculum is, no matter how advanced the facilities are, without good teachers, the goals of education cannot be achieved. So So the FPG describes the kind of teacher Malaysia needs. So teachers who are knowledgeable, professional, reflective, ethical, caring, and also committed. So teachers are not just people who pass knowledge from textbook to students. Teachers are role models. So every action, every word, every attitude of a teacher leaves a lasting impression on their students. So that is why teacher training in Malaysia goes beyond subject knowledge. At the Institute of Teachers Education, which is IPG, and universities, student teachers are trained not only in lesson planning and pedagogy, but also in ethics, values, and professional conduct. So they learn how to manage classrooms, integrate technology, support students' emotional needs, and reflect on their own growth as the educators. So, the FPG reminds us that teaching is not just a career, it is an amanah, a trust. So, a teacher carries the responsibility of shaping future generations. So this means teachers must be lifelong learners themselves, always updating their knowledge and adapting to changes in society. So in practice, this could mean a teacher who uses creative methods to help a struggling student instead of just giving up. So a teacher who models honesty and discipline so that students learn integrity by example. So the last one is a teacher who cares for students' well-being and not about just their grades. So through FPG, teachers are reminded that their role is not limited to academics. They are mentors, guides, and builders of character.
Alright, so now let us connect everything together. How do the development of education, the FPK and the FPG fit into one whole picture? Think of it like a house. The development of education provides the structure, the walls, the roof, the rooms. It shows how the system has grown through reports, acts, and also reform. The FPK provides the vision, which the purpose of the house. Why are we building it? For comfort, for safety, or for community? FPK tells us what kind of human beings we want to produce. Also, the FPG provides the builders, the teacher who will design, decorate, and bring life to the house. Without them, the house is just empty walls. In other words, development shows us what we need to be done. In other words, the development shows us what we need to be done. FPK explains why it needs to be done, and FPG tells us how it can be done. A clear example is the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025. It sets ambitious goals to prepare students for global challenges, there is the development. It aligns perfectly with the FPK, which aims for balanced, capable Malaysians, but none of it can be success without teachers leaving the IP. But none of it can succeed without teachers leaving the FPG. But none of it can be succeed without teachers leaving the FPG. Teachers who are innovative, skilled, and also ethical. So, these three elements are not separate. They are three parts of one whole system.
So, as we come to the end of this video, let us pause and reflect. So, the development of education in Malaysia has gone through many stages, from fragmented system before independence to national reports, the modern blueprint. So at every stage, the goal has been the same, to build a strong, united, and capable generation. So, the National Education Philosophy, or NPK, gives us the vision. So it reminds us that education must shape the mind, body, spirit, and emotions of every Malaysian. So all rooted in faith and also values. So the teacher's education philosophy, or FPG, gives us the foundation for teachers. So it guides them to be not just instructors, but also mentors, role models, and nation builders. So, together, these three elements ensure that education in Malaysia is not only about knowledge, but about balance, humanity, and contribution. So they ensure that Malaysia produces not only smart individuals, but also good human beings, which is can bring people who can live meaningful lives, contribute to harmony in society, and bring prosperity to the nation. So this is the real purpose of education in Malaysia. So it is a journey of growth, balance, and responsibility. It is a journey that involves not only students and teachers, but also families, communities, and the entire nation. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you for joining us in this exploration of education, the FPK, and also the FPG. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys.